All right, my friends, can you believe it's already been 6 days since PlayStation 5 Pro has came out? This has been a very interesting time for, I would say, console gaming, PC gaming, just gaming in general. I feel like we are at a point now where something like the PlayStation 5 Pro can come out and not necessarily revolutionize what we've already had, but bring something so specific like PSSR that can literally take games that you already own and transform them and give you that experience that you thought you were buying from day one. And it does kind of suck. But first of all, before we get into this whole video, this whole yeah, I love PlayStation 5 Pro thing, let's address the elephant in the room. I get a lot of comments from people in the comment section telling me that the PlayStation 5 Pro is not worth the $700. I too have stated that multiple times before buying the PlayStation 5 Pro. Now, you have to look at it this way. The console market is an interesting place, and it has pretty much a set price for like consoles and cells and how big that market's going to grow, and I really do think that a lot of that comes down to the overall price of the hardware itself. And it's historically been, $200 to $300 has been that sweet spot for a console generation to truly, expand the boundaries of what these consoles are usually capable of doing, which is right around 300 million or so console saturation throughout the whole thing. When you look at platforms like Xbox or PlayStation or past consoles that have done really well, usually they had started taking off around that, around a price point that was, usually discounted. I would say, I think the original PlayStation came out at $300. I think PlayStation 2 was $300. I think the original Xbox was $300. I think that's when they moved over to $300. I still think the GameCube was still $200 when that launched, as was Sega Dreamcast. And then you move forward, obviously you get like the Wii U, you get the Switch. These consoles started doing like the $300 to $350 price point. And things just started growing from there. About the PlayStation 3 is when things really took a nosedive. If you notice that when that came out at like $599, $600, everybody was like, no, dude. And the sales did not take off until that console hit $300 when the Slim model came out. So when you historically look at console prices, they've usually been around that $300 range. Just this last couple of generations, we've started to hit, $500 as like the entry level price for like your PlayStation 5 last generation. We were at $400, $500, whatever, Xbox trying to sell it with the Kinect or whatever. The Kinect 2, that put that at $500. They got rid of that, brought the price down. And then it started doing pretty well. I think last generation is probably overall not necessarily a major disappointment because PS4 did pretty well, and obviously the original Switch is doing pretty well. But Xbox obviously coming out of $500 seriously stunted that momentum. But this generation, it's been different. You've had both consoles come out at $500 price points. One of them had more power, one of them had less power. The Xbox came out with a cheaper version with the Series S, and we've just kind of watched the console market kind of get stagnant. We're only at 4 years in, and we're only at 65 million PS5 sold to date, and then you've probably 25 to 30 Xbox Series X and S sold to date, where this is probably the slowest growing generation for consoles that like I think we've ever seen in our lives. And that's really weird, and it's kind of worrying at the same time. So I wanted to put that out there first before we get in there, just kind of give you guys a little bit of the history of consoles and where I think things are right now, and why I think that the whole console market ecosystem is kind of in trouble right now. You've got a lot of gamers like myself that are, I made the video yesterday saying that the PlayStation 5 Pro possibly could have prevented me from going to PC. And so I kind of want to explain that a little bit more in this video, and kind of tell you, you know, like, you know, what I see the PlayStation 5 Pro being, and where I see that kind of going. So yes, guys, it is kind of true. If PlayStation 5 Pro came out 2 years ago with the power that it has right now and delivered on that 4K experience when I was still right there in the thick of things and right there and like, oh my gosh, Xbox, PlayStation, when I was right there at that point, this could have went a long way at preventing me from actually moving over to PC. I'm pretty sure I still would have bought the PC, but I would have bought in at the 3080 level. So PlayStation 5 Pro at the current, with its current power, that definitely could have, you know, could have staved me off from moving over to PC, because in my mind, like, my Xbox Series X and PS5 were still on par on a 1440p monitor with the 3080 that I had. So you multiply that by now, looking at the entry point where I would have bought into PC, would have been about a 4070 Super price range. And looking at what the PS5 Pro is actually able to accomplish on the games that I've been able to play, it really does kind of put it in that area of like that 4070 Super 7800 XT. It kind of puts it in that kind of a category to where, all right, this is good enough to where that level of PC performance wouldn't, I mean, AMD would have been a different story, guys, but we all know that I would have went NVIDIA first. So we're going with the 4070 Super. And what the 4070 and 4070 Super can do versus what the PlayStation 5 Pro can do, I don't think it would have swayed me. I think that I would have still been like, yeah, consoles, but now that time is long gone. Like, I have a 7900 XTX with a 7800 X3D, and it is significantly better than the PlayStation 5 Pro. Like, I can run games at native 4K. I can run them significantly higher frame rates. I can, you know, run them on a 3440 by 1440p ultra wide monitor. I can't do that on the PlayStation 5 Pro. The time for a console to bring me back into the console fold is probably long gone. But that doesn't mean that I can't still enjoy what the PlayStation 5 Pro has to offer. As a gamer and as somebody, as a content creator now, it's kind of, it's not necessarily a job. I don't ever want to think of this as a job, but it is kind of like, you know, I am now in that position to where, like, being able to buy this kind of stuff and enjoy it and bring you content and help you feel better with your purchases, you know, trying to explain the difference between getting a PlayStation 5 Pro right now or moving on over to PC. That is a major thing. And this is kind of the way I'm looking at it right now. Obviously, the PlayStation 5 Pro comes without a disc. That's another one of the major things that people are complaining about. It doesn't have a disc drive. So you would have to buy either a disc drive or you would have to start buying your games digitally. Right there, that there should already be like, okay, there's no disc drive. That means I'm already closer to $800 for PS5 Pro. That gives me a little bit more budget to work towards getting a PC. Now, getting in a PC at $800 is, you know, it's doable, and it's going to give you a decent experience, but you're going to lose out on, you know, some of that flair that you're going to be able to get on a PS5 Pro or something else. So I would recommend, you know, bumping that budget up to about $1,200. I think you can get a comparable, solid experience for about $1,200 and be able to truly see what the difference is between the PlayStation and PC, because now you're not having a disc drive on the PS5 Pro definitely puts it in an awkward position, because clearly it costs more money to be able to play disc games. Whereas if you go PC, you're buying your games digitally anyways, and you're going to be able to get games significantly cheaper over on PC. You don't have to pay for online play anymore, any of that kind of stuff. So that's something to think about as you are playing around, you know, in the market. Obviously, if you're thinking about going to PC, you're probably thinking about NVIDIA, because NVIDIA is the best and all of that stuff. But I'm here to tell you that you can get significantly more power out of an AMD GPU, and clearly PSSR proves that AMD is going to have pretty solid performance out of FSR4 in the upscaling department when it launches either later this year or early next year, you're probably going to be perfectly okay with FSR. If PSSR is a good enough quality for you, then you're probably going to be quite satisfied, because you got to understand that, like, we're looking at PSSR on a console level performance. PSSR or FSR4 is going to perform significantly better on the PC platform, and however high you go GPU is going to dictate how much better that PS or that FSR4 experience is going to be. You already have driver level frame generation for all DX11, DX12, OpenGL, as well as Vulkan supported games to automatically double your frame rate. And as a console gamer myself, I think that you would get in there and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Like, you'd be like, whoa, this is incredible. I mean, most of you guys are playing like Spider-Man or Spider-Man 2, and you're using the low frame rate compensation that the PlayStation has baked into there to show you that your frame rate's higher on your LG TVs. That's low frame rate compensation. That's what it does. It smooths it out. You're not necessarily getting, 80 frames or whatever. You're technically getting your 60 frames, but it's pushing it over that. You're getting like duplicate frames, or it's like the frame rate is being it's giving you more frames through low frame rate compensation. That's kind of programmed in there. I still kind of feel like, they don't necessarily feel like real 60 to real 80 frames a second. They kind of feel like they're taking, from a lower base and they're doubling it or tripling it, giving you that 90 frames per second, which is good. Like, don't get me wrong, like, it feels smooth and it gets the job done. It tricks your brain and gives you exactly what you think you're supposed to have. And controls are tight. Controls feel good. That's not a bad thing. It's definitely not a bad thing, but I do think that there's a lot of, not necessarily misinformation, because Digital Foundry's plainly said that, yeah, the Spider-Man games are literally using low frame rate compensation, but they also kind of make it sound like it's real frame rate and stuff like that, when at the end of the day, when you feel what 90 frames a second feels like on PC versus what 90 frames a second feels like on PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 Pro, you'll understand that, like, it does feel a little bit different. It does look a little bit different, but it is close enough that it doesn't matter. And that's basically what it is. Like, if you're a console gamer, that should be good for you. Honestly, your first PC experience, your first hurrah into PC experience is gonna blow your freaking socks off. It's gonna blow your mind, and all of the little flaws and stuff there along the way, you're gonna easily look those over, no problem. Like, you're gonna look them over. By the time you're ready to upgrade and like really move into PC and start stretching your legs, where you've learned some stuff, you've got your legs under you. You're gonna know. Like, you're gonna know exactly what you like. Like, I know exactly what I like in PC now, because I spent a lot of money. I bought a lot of NVIDIA GPUs. I bought a lot of AMD GPUs. I bought different types of screens so that I could see exactly what I like. I know I like ultra wide monitors, LG at 3440 by 1440p, and I like a top end AMD GPU that has plenty of VRAM and plenty of power to fully push the pixels on that game. So I'm enjoying my PC experience to the absolute fullest. But I'm a content creator and I'm an influencer and I like AMD, but now the fact that PlayStation 5 Pro is so successful in what it does with PSSR, that gives me hope that I can stand there and hold my head high and be like, yeah guys, I've told you from the beginning that AMD is a solid buy. And now that you know that it can 100% do machine learning upscaling on a console, imagine what that's going to do for your AMD FSR or AMD RDNA 2 or RDNA 3 GPUs. You're going to be able to utilize this FSR4, and it's going to enhance the overall quality of your GPUs. And then it'll be easier for me to recommend that, like, yeah, okay, now it's a decent experience on a 4K screen. You're not going to get all the, you're not going to get the inconsistencies that you were getting with just FSR3. Like, you're not going to get the motion blur anymore, or you're not going to get the ghosting. You're not going to get any of that kind of stuff. It's going to look better. and therefore you're going to have a better experience on the 4K TV, and you don't have to feel like, oh man, if I would have bought NVIDIA, I would have got better. It just depends. Like, if you buy NVIDIA, you buy NVIDIA. I'm not mad at you. I don't have a problem with that, but I'm telling you that, like, yeah, you can easily save money. My honest opinion, guys, is try both. See exactly which one you like. If you like NVIDIA more, boom, more power to you. Stay with that, because no, I can only lead you to the graphics that I look at that look good to me, and it's up to you if you like the same thing I like. I can only influence you as much as you know, getting you to the point of at least taking a look at something. And I encourage you to do that. I absolutely encourage everybody to do that. Go out, look, see for yourself, and then make the decision, because you could be leaving a lot of power and VRAM on the table to buy an NVIDIA product that's not going to be able to give you exactly what NVIDIA advertises, versus being able to get a full functioning AMD experience for a lot less money. I don't know, man. Like, I've been able to use every feature AMD has across the full spectrum of their cards 100% like pretty consistent, you know, tier up from the bottom up, like ray tracing performance on a 7600 XT at 1080p. It runs pretty dang good, almost as good as it's pretty close. Like the overall frame rate that you get from 1080p to a 1440p card to a 4K card is pretty linear. It is pretty linear, to be completely honest with you. And when I look at that, and I look at the consistency of how that experience played out for me on these AMD GPUs, I can easily say, look, man, you're gonna get what you pay for with AMD, because you're gonna use all the features across the board on all of those GPUs, whereas on NVIDIA, your lower end cards are not going to perform that well with path tracing. That is literally reserved for your higher end cards. Your lower end cards are not going to do it that well, and your 60 series cards are cut down so much that those features on those cards are kind of pointless, to be completely honest with you. Like, they will work, but the amount of sacrifices that you're going to be making to utilize those, I don't know if it would be worth it to me. I would much rather, you know, for the price of the 4060, I'd rather just get the 7600 XT. Or the 7700 XT, or even the 7800 XT, and get a better overall experience going with those. So yes, guys, I don't feel like I wasted my money buying a PlayStation 5 Pro. I think that if anything, it has given me a window into what the next generation and what FSR4 for AMD GPUs is actually going to be able to bring to the table. And that's just a taste, because that's console level. We'll be getting full on dedicated GPU level FSR4 when that launches either later this year or early next year for these AMD GPUs, for like your RDNA 2, RDNA 3, RDNA 4, and forward. So I'm happy that I was able to get that experience. And yeah, guys, I've seen some pretty incredible stuff on the PlayStation 5 Pro, so I'm actually pretty happy with this overall experience. So, all right, my friends, I don't really have any more to say about this. I kind of, you know, I want to, you know, see how this video performs, and let me know how you guys are feeling in the comment section. And yes, dude, I totally understand that a lot of you guys are probably not too happy with the price of the PlayStation 5 Pro. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't very happy with it either, but ad revenue this month has been pretty good, to where it's kind of offset that a lot. So thank you guys for watching these videos. I do appreciate that, because you've made it significantly easier for me to be able to buy this and to bring you this content. And that's why I'm being fair. You guys watching the content is giving me the ability to pay for this stuff. So it's kind of a trade-off. I get to make the money from the channel, from the views, and I get to buy the stuff, and then I get to bring you fair content. So that's what we're doing going forward. Obviously, we're just going to cover everything as fair as possible. No bias, no nothing, man. If it's a good product and I enjoy it, I'm gonna tell you that. I'm gonna give you that. I'm gonna explain that experience to you guys. And I've always wanted to be honest with my community, and that's what I do. I'm always honest. So yeah, guys, it's definitely a personal Like, it's a personal thing. If you guys think the PlayStation 5 Pro is worth your money, I think there's enough there to where you'd be able to easily justify spending the money on it. I do anyways. I mean, but I'm pretty easy to please most of the time, and I have zero issues buying a ROG Ally and letting it sit on my desk and maybe putting 25 hours on it for $700. So yeah, I don't necessarily, I wanted it because I want the PlayStation 5 Pro, man. I wanted to see. And I've got a lot of games on there. I bought a lot of games digitally, man. And that's me. Like, it didn't hurt me to buy it as much. I don't have to buy a disc drive or anything like that. So obviously all of our experiences are going to differ. Yours is going to be different than mine. Mine's going to be different than yours. I have no desire to trash any products anymore. I don't have any desire to be negative towards anything. I just want to try to emphasize the positives and help you find a way and, you know, talk about the negative stuff. Talk about the negative stuff. I'm not going to make a big deal about the negative stuff, but I am going to bring it up and I'm going to talk to you, just like I did with my review on the T598. Yes, I don't think the supplied wheel that comes with that is very good. I think it kind of takes away from the overall experience. And I know that because I have other wheels that I can use on it that give you a better experience. So that doesn't mean it's bad. That just means that you can make the T598 a significantly better experience, but it is going to cost you more. It is. And yeah, dude, that's welcome to the world, man. Nothing's free and everybody wants money. So yeah, I get it. I do believe that the experience with the hypercar wheel or the Evo racing wheel, definitely worth the money. Definitely worth the money. You're looking about $900, you know, if you go with the hypercar wheel for that. I don't think that's a bad deal. And if you get on like Fanatec or anywhere else and you start looking at the wheel prices, it starts to add up and you're like, oh boy, oh boy. So yeah, if you're gonna buy the T598, I think the experience with the race car rim is doable, but I want you to know that your experience could be significantly better if you get one of them better rims. So, all right, guys, thanks for listening. I'll see you guys in the next one. Well, have good fun.